Hello, everyone. We'll give folks a minute to join before we get started, but welcome to our Hunger Free Community Quarterly Meeting for September 2022. I'm going to go ahead and put up the agenda on the screen so you can see it. All right. So you see our agenda here. I'm Minerva Delgado with the Alliance to End Hunger. And the agenda for today, we have with us two guest speakers. Hunger Free New Jersey's legislative victories and agenda will be discussed by Lisa Pitts, who's the director of Hunger Free New Jersey. And hopefully we can all engage in a conversation about whether or not you're doing similar advocacy in your state and any questions you might have for Lisa. And then we'll do news from the Hunger Free Communities Network. And there we have a presentation from Amanda Bankston at Syracuse University, who's working on a research project with the Alliance to End Hunger, and she'll share that information with you. And then hopefully you all can share anything newsworthy you want to share from your groups, whether it's an event or a recent report or accomplishment you want to share with folks. There'll be time for that. And then we'll do a few updates from the Alliance to End Hunger, including our upcoming virtual conference in November and updates on the White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health. So thank you all for joining us today. We certainly appreciate it. Afterwards, because we always get this question, we will send you the recording and any of the presentations so you can share that with other folks. We also put it up on our website at Alliance to End Hunger under the Hunger Free Communities program area. We always archive these meetings on that website as well. So you'll have access to this information afterwards. So without any further ado, let me introduce Lisa from Hunger Free New Jersey and ask her to share her screen and take it away. So Lisa will make a short presentation and then we'll open it up for questions and discussion. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to put them in the chat. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Minerva. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Thumbs up. Okay. Yes. Sometimes technology cooperates. Let me put it in. There we go. So as Minerva said, I'm Lisa Pitts and I'm the director of Hunger Free New Jersey. We are a statewide anti-hunger advocacy organization. We've been around for about 40 years. We're a program of the Center for Food Action, which is a private nonprofit organization that provides direct emergency services in certain areas of New Jersey. And about 40 years ago, the executive director of Center for Food Action, wanted to start a statewide kind of network of food pantries and other emergency food providers throughout the state. Those are our origins. We have changed and morphed and shifted and changed our name numerous times over the last 40 plus years. And I've actually been with Hunger Free New Jersey for the last 20 years. The mission of Hunger Free New Jersey is to change policies and program practices to ensure that all New Jerseyans have access to healthy food every day. That's our basic mission. We really do that by focusing our efforts on advocacy around improving access to the federal nutrition programs. We believe they are the first line of defense against hunger in our state and in our nation. We do this by educating the public and policymakers about hunger, its causes and solutions. And by mobilizing a diverse network of organizations throughout the state, we we couldn't do anything we do without all of our partners throughout New Jersey. We work together to push for sweeping changes to policy and to programs to improve access to healthy food for everyone in New Jersey. Our work is data-driven. We publish and release reports on the various federal nutrition programs. Sometimes the reports are published yearly, sometimes it's every other year, depending upon what our agenda is for that year. We publish reports on participation in all the child nutrition programs, so school breakfast, summer meals, after school meals, and then of course our reports on SNAP. Some of the data we get from our state departments that administer the programs, and then we use that data in our reports to show participation rates, highlight kind of what's working and what's not, where there's areas for improvement. Some of the reports we do, we actually do the research for the reports. The report that I'm going to highlight now is our most recent SNAP report, which we released in May of 2021. Boosting New Jersey SNAP, eliminating barriers to participation. This report, we actually ran a series of focus groups. We had over 90 organizations that participated in the focus groups to identify barriers to participation in SNAP and make recommendations for addressing those barriers. We also did 2 separate surveys of SNAP participants, and then also surveys of people who are likely eligible for SNAP but not participating, again, to identify what they saw as the barriers to accessing SNAP. This report got a lot of media coverage. Again, these reports very much inform our advocacy work, and they really drive the advocacy work. Directly from our SNAP report, several pieces of anti-hunger legislation were introduced and subsequently passed this past legislative session. The SNAP bills, most of them came directly from the report. So just to sort of illustrate the importance of having data-driven advocacy and the effectiveness of it. So a 9-bill anti-hunger package was passed and signed by the governor. I'm not going to talk about each one of these individually, but one will streamline the SNAP application and establish a statewide SNAP call center, which New Jersey currently does not have and desperately needs. So that's in the process of being implemented, and we're really excited about that. Our SNAP program is a county-based SNAP program. The State Department of Human Services oversees the program, but we are a county, each county board of social services implements, which creates another layer and makes a complicated program sometimes even more complicated and more difficult to access. So having that statewide call center will make a big difference, where people can actually get a person on the phone to help them resolve any issues they're having and help them apply for SNAP. One of the other bills required our Department of Human Services to expand SNAP outreach efforts to cover underserved parts of the state. Another one requires the DHS to provide additional trainings for the county boards of social services. Many of these had appropriations attached to them. So the state really committed both funding and resources to really try to improve access to SNAP based on our recommendations in our report. I want to highlight a couple of the bills that passed as part of this package that are particularly exciting. One of the bills that passed creates the state SNAP supplement. So as I'm sure you all know, the minimum federal benefit for SNAP is $20. And of course, most SNAP households have been getting maximized SNAP benefits under the emergency allotments because of the pandemic, but that is going to go away when the public health emergency declaration ends. So the timing of this is really good. So basically the state will supplement the SNAP benefits for anyone receiving less than $50, so that no one in our state gets less than $50 in SNAP. This is also exciting because that minimum SNAP benefit often impacts seniors and people with disabilities living in subsidized housing. So we're hoping that this will incentivize some of those likely eligible folks to apply. We know $50 isn't going to feed anybody for a whole month. But again, it's a major step in the right direction. And there are not a lot of other states that do this. So we were really excited about it. The other, excuse me, main piece of legislation that passed as part of this package of bills this last session is the Working Class Families Anti-Hunger Act. This bill would improve access to free school meals by increasing income eligibility from 185% of the federal poverty level to 200% of the federal poverty level, capturing those students who are in those struggling working class households. 200% of the federal poverty level for a family of 4 is $55,500. So if you're living in New Jersey and pretty much most other states, and you have a family of 4 to provide for, and you're only earning a little over $55,000 a year in gross income, you're struggling. And being able to have your children get free meals at school would be an enormous help to these families. It's estimated that this law alone will make over 25,000 more New Jersey children eligible for free school meals, breakfast and lunch. And this bill is going to be implemented next school year. So this will be implemented in the 23-24 school year. Going back a little further, we've had legislative success, and I should pause here to say that, you know, again, Hunger Free New Jersey works with many, many partners throughout the state. We have a strong, robust network. We also have the very good fortune of having an administration that is very committed to addressing hunger. We have not always had that, and it is a wonderful thing. And I know that there are other states that don't necessarily have that, but there is commitment on the part of our governor, on the part of our legislators. We have a real champion in our Speaker Coughlin, and our state departments that administer the programs also are really terrific. Everyone is really committed to improving access to these programs. So I have to give them a shout out and their props in this process of getting all this legislation passed. In 2021, there was another package of anti-hunger bills that passed in New Jersey that Hunger Free New Jersey worked on, one of which establishes an Office of the Food Security Advocate, the first of its kind in the nation, which is super exciting. And they just appointed someone to that position. And that person will be sort of like a central point of coordination for the various government nutrition programs. They will work to increase outreach and increase enrollment in the programs, and a whole host of other goals that they'll be working on. But it is the first of its kind in the nation and was created legislatively in our 2021 session, and it's very exciting. Others, again, streamlining SNAP application and increasing outreach to senior citizens. We own less than half of eligible seniors in New Jersey participate in SNAP. Creating a mobile app for SNAP, establishing a state supplement for both the summer food programs and breakfast after the bell, again, to incentivize school districts to do breakfast after the bell and provide that little boost in reimbursement for them, so that they can operate their programs, especially now and really struggling. And that's going into effect this school year. And then requiring Department of Labor and Workforce Development to provide information about SNAP for folks on unemployment. The other bill I wanted to highlight, which we see as a key success, is the elimination of reduced price school meals. This bill passed in 2019. Again, it's another sort of, step forward in expanding the pool of children in New Jersey who are able to get free breakfast and lunch at school. So basically, the state eliminated the reduced price categories. Those kids will now all, starting this school year, also be getting breakfast and lunch for free at school. And then some other things I wanted to highlight about our work. Not all of Hunger Free New Jersey's work is legislative focused. We do other kinds of advocacy to improve access to healthy food. I did want to highlight a couple other pieces of legislation that are a little bit older, I think from 2018. But again, you can really see in the last 5 years, there's been a lot of anti-hunger legislation passed in New Jersey. It's been a very exciting time. We do have a breakfast after the bell mandate. That's schools, individual schools with 70% or more free and reduced eligible students have to operate a breakfast after the bell program. We have a summer meals mandate for school districts where 50% or more of the kids are eligible for free and reduced price meals has to become a summer meal sponsor and or site. And then another piece of legislation that passed in New Jersey is the Hunger Free Campus Act, which required the Secretary of Higher Education to allocate $1 million to public colleges and universities to address hunger. It was a total of $1 million, and then individual colleges and universities applied for funds through a grant process. The other type of advocacy that we do is really working with our state departments that administer the programs on making changes to the programs where they have the flexibility to do that, regulatory changes. One example is a couple of years ago, we worked with our Department of Human Services to get a change made in SNAP. Our neighboring states of Pennsylvania and New York were already doing this. And so we kind of got information from them and then presented it to the state and they ran with it. So basically, as you all know, college students have additional work requirements when it comes to SNAP, and it often makes it impossible for them to get SNAP benefits. This would actually count what's called Perkins funded courses of study, or VOC Tech, vocational technical courses of study, which is pretty broadly defined. Students enrolled in those courses in community colleges in New Jersey can document that when they apply for SNAP, and those can count towards their work requirements. And this made a lot more college students eligible for SNAP who would otherwise be income eligible, but couldn't do it because of the work requirements. So it's just another example of kind of the type of advocacy that we engage in. We also do a lot of coalition building. We convene several statewide coalitions, which are comprised of different statewide advocacy groups. And again, they're usually issue focused. One example is our New Jersey Food for Thought campaign, which we launched in 2011. We have education partners around the table in the Food for Thought campaign, the Principals and Supervisors Association, the New Jersey Parent Teacher Organization, New Jersey Education Association, the NJEA, supervisors, New Jersey Supervisors Association. So it's those sort of statewide advocacy groups, along with the New Jersey Department of Agriculture, other anti-hunger advocates and education advocates. And that statewide coalition really informs the strategy, the advocacy strategy of the Food for Thought campaign, the goal of which is to address childhood hunger by improving access to school breakfast, summer meals, and after school meals in New Jersey. We use those reports that I mentioned earlier to drive that work. And we engage folks on the local level, like our partners will connect us with local school districts where we see breakfast participation is really low, or where we see there are gaps in summer meal service. And then we do our local coalition work, which is a big part of what Hunger Free New Jersey does too. And some of the local coalitions are county-based, but most of them are really hyper local. And they're made up of local stakeholders, again, who all work together to improve access to healthy food in their particular communities. And it's a really good mutual experience, because Hunger Free New Jersey helps those local groups sort of strategize ways to improve access to healthy food in their communities. But what these sort of frontline community-based, faith-based organizations are seeing really informs Hunger Free New Jersey's advocacy agenda and our work. So it's a really productive model. And as I say, we really work closely with a lot of partners throughout the state. Our current priorities, amongst other things, Hunger Free New Jersey will be focusing our efforts in the coming year on college hunger. We are currently working on a legislative agenda. We're going to be doing a survey of some of the community colleges to see how, if at all, they're engaging colleges in SNAP, engaging students and by doing SNAP outreach and education and helping students with SNAP applications. At this point, most of our colleges and universities have food pantries on campus. So we're really trying to drill down and take the conversation to the next level and strategize more, better ways to connect college students with SNAP benefits. We are also going to be focusing on senior hunger. Again, the rollout of this new $50 minimum benefit in New Jersey, we're hoping will incentivize seniors to apply for SNAP who previously did not. So we'll be working with a lot of our partners on that. We're going to be focusing efforts on increasing participation in after school meals. We only have about 5.9% of kids who are participating in free and reduced lunch are also getting after school suppers. So we really want to increase the number of districts that are offering after school at-risk dinners. So we'll be drilling down and focusing on that in the coming year. We will be focusing a lot of time and attention on the implementation of all that recently passed legislation, making sure that it's implemented in a timely and effective manner. We also will be working with the brand new Office of Food Security Advocate. Again, they just appointed someone who's starting this month. So we'll be working closely with him to really identify the areas of need and kind of the best strategies to improve access to healthy food for people in New Jersey. And then, of course, we will be focused this coming year on a lot of federal advocacy, because we know that child nutrition and the Farm Bill are both up for reauthorization over the course of the next year. And really, as much as the state has been able to accomplish, the federal programs are federal programs. So a lot of the changes and improvements really need to happen on the federal level. So we will be focusing some of our attention on that too, and working with our members of Congress. For more information, if you want to view any of our reports, our child nutrition reports, our SNAP report, that's all accessible on our website. And I have the address here, and as well as other information about Hunger Free New Jersey and our priorities and what's happening in New Jersey. If you could, it would be great to like us on Facebook. We want to be your friend. Follow us on Twitter for all the latest and greatest on what's happening in New Jersey, and then we can follow you back and see what you're up to. I'm always super interested to hear what people in other states are doing. We get a lot of our legislative ideas and our other advocacy ideas from other states. We do a lot of borrowing of best practices. So I'm super interested to hear what folks are doing in other states. And this is my contact information. And with that, I thank you for your time. And I guess, Minerva, if you want to open it for questions.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. Actually, while we're asking folks to raise your hand if you want to ask a question so we can unmute you, or go ahead and put the question in the Q&A. But I'd like to just start off because I'm very curious. Some of the legislative victories involve changes to federal nutrition programs. And I'm just curious what some of that discussion, whether it was with USDA or, kind of look like to make these changes. So in particular, I'm thinking, when you expanded eligibility for SNAP, for example, what was the process of getting sort of the feds, if you will, to sign off on that or approve that?
Well, DHS can, there are certain waivers. States do have certain flexibilities, and they would have to apply for a waiver in some instances, but certainly not all. For the income eligibility increase for the school meals,
I was looking for SNAP, but I'm sorry.
SNAP.
Mm-hmm.
We did increase income eligibility for SNAP years ago in New Jersey, from 130 to 185% for the federal poverty level. And I'm not sure if the state had to apply for a waiver at that time. That was quite a while ago. We've had it at 185 for quite some time. But I know for some of these changes, they have to apply to USDA for a waiver. And for some of them, they do not. There's built-in flexibilities, and they can just make a regulatory change.
So I guess the advice for anyone who's thinking about working on any of these kinds of changes is to talk to their state social services, whoever administers the program, and see what kind of flexibilities are available without going to USDA. But if there is if they need to go to USDA, there are usually mechanisms to approve these kinds of changes. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any questions or comments? Are you trying to do anything similar in your state? Or any questions for Lisa? So feel free to raise your hand, or yeah, and once you raise your hand, I'm happy to unmute you so you can participate in the conversation. I'll also check the Q&A, which I don't see anything in the Q&A. We'll just give folks another minute. Any questions or comments for Lisa?
I'd love to hear what anybody else is working on, if people can share it.
All right. Well, it seems we have a quiet group today.
Minerva, I think there is a question in the Q&A box.
Okay, let's take a look at that. Awesome to hear about the elimination of reduced price meals cost. Have there been efforts for universal free meals for kids in New Jersey? And that's coming from David Robinson.
That's a really good question, David. There have been. I mean, we of course would love to see that happen. I mean, we think the increase to 200% is a really good start. We would have liked to have seen it increased even more, but of course there's a price tag attached to it. But in terms of universal free for all, there is a bill that was introduced in New Jersey to do that, and it didn't get traction. And we're really hoping that there's opportunities on the federal level to get that done, either through the child nutrition reauthorization process. Again, it's so the Working Class Families Anti-Hunger Act that was passed in New Jersey that just ticks that income eligibility up to 200% had a $20 million price tag. So just to give you an idea of what the scope of that and the cost of it. And so I think it seems that that's the concern about universal free meals for all in the state, is that it would cost a lot more. But there are some states that have done it.
Absolutely. And if I can, just from the Alliance to End Hunger perspective, add in that we are certainly looking forward to child nutrition reauthorization, looking for an expansion of the community eligibility provision, which is how most states that are offering free meals right now are able to do it, which would have a state opt-in option. And so that is something we are advocating for at the Alliance. Unfortunately, we would also love to see sort of a nationwide universal school meals legislation. Unfortunately, that isn't supported right now through many in Congress. So we certainly see the community eligibility provision expansion as a key step in that direction. And I know that there are states that are looking for that to pass with the state option. That way, states that want to can move in that direction. So, but thank you for that question. It looks like we may have one or two more. Okay, that was David. Thank you so much. All right. Any other questions, please raise your hand or just put it in the chat. I'm happy to unmute you so you can join in the discussion. All right. Well, it looks like we're all set on questions. Lisa, thank you so much. And I'm sure that there will be people in touch who probably have questions for you. And so we will share Lisa's contact information as we, when we send the follow-up information. Thank you so much again, Lisa. So next we'll turn to Amanda Bankston with Syracuse University. She's working with us on a Hunger-Free Communities research project, and we hope to engage you all down the line on this project. But I'm asking Amanda just to share what this project is about, where she is with it, and how we hope to engage you more in the future. Thank you so much. Amanda, take it away. Amanda, you're still muted, so just so you know.
Hi, I'm sorry about that, everyone. Can everyone see my screen? Minerva, can you see that?
Yes, I do. You might want to go into slide mode. Yeah, there you go. You're all set.
Wonderful. Sorry for that hiccup. Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday, and thank you so much for a few minutes of your time to share a little bit about a research partnership we're working on. My name is Amanda Bankston. I am a doctoral student and researcher at the Program for the Advancement of Research on Conflict and Collaboration here at Syracuse University. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit about what we're working on. So believe it or not, there is a research center I'm sitting in right now of folks really interested in conflict and collaboration. And you can't really study one without the other, as those of you who do it every day well know. Our core question and the core question of this project is, how can we help people work together to build stronger, healthier, more equitable communities? And that is something that folks have been researching for maybe 60 years and doing maybe since the beginning of time. So many people are interested in things like collaborative dynamics. They're using quantitative methods to look at networks and how to optimize their relationship building. I'm particularly interested in collaborative leadership. In other words, I'm interested in all of you. And so this project stems from that. Those of you in the network may or may not be used to the term collective impact theory. Hopefully you are. You might be calling it something different. You might be using a different conception of it. But either way, just to bring us back and ground us, as a reminder, this is, again, after those 60 years of research in various veins, what Kania and Kramer, some consultants and researchers put together and said, hey, here are 5 core tenets as part of this theory, a framework for collaboration. So that evaluation, shared communication, the backbone organization, those 5 pillars that you might be used to. And the reason we're interested in this is we know that a complex issue like hunger can't be solved by a single organization. If you want to learn more about collective impact, shameless plug for the HFC summit coming up in November. The reason this has taken hold and taken the collaboration world and more importantly, the practical world by storm is that it's not just about a single collaborative effort, or it's not just about entering collaboration. It's about really building a muscle for continuous collaboration in a given community. And that's why so many people are so excited about this theory. And in fact, as a first step in the research I'm doing, there are thousands of cases all around the world of people who have taken this on. And in doing so, over the past decade, as thousands and thousands of communities have adopted this framework, there's been a lot of learning that's happened outside of institutions like this. And so you see people like the Tamarick Institute put together different phases of readiness and try to parse this beyond those 5 core pillars. And then you see folks, this is coming out of some research around a case study in San Francisco saying, okay, what's happening when there are dilemmas or conflicts? Can we parse this and share what we're learning with others? And you can go on and on. Here's a little bit more of an intricate one for a particular network around Pacific AIDS Network. So all policy areas are using this. And I'm not showing you this to get into the nitty gritty. I know this text is really small, but just to say there's a lot of learning that's going on. And to go back to the presentation we just saw, right, that sharing of knowledge, that building of knowledge, that borrowing we just heard about is a big part of collaborative leadership. And as a result, Minerva and the great folks at the Alliance have put together a framework that tells you, hey, where am I at in the process of becoming a hunger-free community? And where am I going next? And where am I coming from, right? As a tool for you all as leaders. And so the core of this project is really to say, okay, we're pulling from all of these thousands of case studies, right? All of this information as people are learning every day in all these policy arenas. And can we find some trends or some knowledge that we can share to support your work? And so we're embarking on this 5-phase research journey, and you're at the very heart of it, where we're trying to harness all this collective knowledge, not only from outside the Hunger Free Communities Network, but also from within it to support your work. We're beginning, like I said, I'm in the middle of a massive review of literature that looks at both gray literature, literature from individual cases, from all sources, and tries to identify some trends that we can build off of. Then we'll move into a community design phase. What this will look like is engaging with you all in surveys and focus groups. We'll also look at case studies, and this is where we're really looking to you. We'll take a look at particular HFCs and really do a deep dive to learn about your history, how you're growing and sharing knowledge, and the like. We'll go outside the network to do some experimentation around how knowledge sticks and how leaders are using it, and then return to you all with some outputs or some accessible, not a long report. What is something that actually helps you as you're working tirelessly to build in your communities? And so our goals are really practice-based. We want to come away with outputs that serve you, and that requires input and engagement all along the way. And so I'm excited to invite you into this process. The first place you'll probably see me is this last bullet point, where you can learn about that literature review and all of that knowledge we've kind of gleaned at the Hunger Free Communities Virtual Summit. In the meantime, you'll get some calls for focus groups for a survey, and we hope you can participate in that. And then again, for these case studies, one of the things we're also engaged in is some fundraising to make sure everyone is compensated for their time. And in the meantime, as you're working, if you, I'd be curious to see whether you use these resources or not, but if you find something lacking, a gap you're interested in exploring, please don't hesitate to contact me or Minerva. Send those research questions along, send those practical questions along, and let's see what we can learn together. And so I'm excited to work with you all. Again, I'm open. Please feel free to email me. Thank you for your time. And I hope to see you all at the summit coming soon.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Are there any questions about the research project? And again, just a reminder that Amanda will be presenting at the upcoming Hunger Free Community Summit, so you can learn more there as well. But in the meantime, you will likely get a request from us to join a survey or a focus group, and we hope you will take us up on it as we kind of study, how collective impact work is done throughout the network, and what kinds of tools and resources you need from us to assist you. And so we're really excited about this project and really thank Amanda for her time. So right now I don't see any questions, so we'll move on. But feel free to raise your hand if I've missed you and you do have a question, or put it in the Q&A. Thank you so much, Amanda. So this is an opportunity for any of you who want to share any upcoming events or announcements, or just, information you'd like to share with the network about work that you're doing. So we'll give folks a moment to raise their hands on that. So don't be shy. I know people really love to hear what you're up to, and answer any questions you might have about work that's going on in your state that you'd be interested in learning more about what other states are doing. So, okay. So while we're waiting for people to raise their hand or ask any questions, I can move ahead with 2 of our updates, but again, feel free to raise that hand if you do want to be acknowledged. So I let me see here. The first one is, hopefully you're all aware at this point that the White House has announced that they're going to do a conference on hunger, nutrition, and health on September 28th. It will be live streamed. The Alliance will be doing a live stream of it. So all of you who are in our network will get information about how to watch it through the live stream, and join us in just as we watch the conference and hear the outcome. And what we're looking forward to in the outcome is they're supposed to be presenting a blueprint, as you all know, and many of you have had your own listening sessions. The government agencies involved you have been doing listening sessions, USDA, HHS, and of course the White House have been doing listening sessions to identify what are the challenges, what are the opportunities to end hunger and improve nutrition in America. And so they're taking all of that information and compiling it into a blueprint that they're going to present at this conference. We, of course, at the Alliance, in conjunction with many of you, did our own listening session, submitted our own report. So I would encourage you to take a look at that report, and also the information that was put together by national anti-hunger groups with their sort of list of wants for the conference as well. So what I will do as part of the follow-up to this meeting is I'll share that link with you so you can see our report and you can see the work that we've been doing around the White House conference. And after the conference, so we're going to live stream the conference, so hopefully you'll join us for that. That information is forthcoming. And afterwards, of course, we'll be doing an assessment of what the blueprint, what was in the blueprint, what we think in terms of the impact of the blueprint will be, and any additional advocacy that's needed. So that is certainly something to look forward to from us. Let me pause there because I would love to know if anyone has questions about the White House conference, or if you've put out your own recommendations. Would love for you to just let us know and share some of those recommendations so that we can actually share those throughout the network. So has anyone here been part of hosting a listening session for the White House conference? If so, please raise your hands and we'll acknowledge you. Okay. Well, so we certainly encourage you to send us any reports you have with your recommendations for the conference, just so that we're aware of what those are. But like I said, I will send information on what the Alliance to End Hunger has been doing. And but rest assured, we will be live streaming the conference, and hopefully you all can join us on that day. So that's sort of the big news on the conference. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of mystery around exactly where it's happening, exactly when, what the format will be. So as soon as we find out anything concrete, we'll definitely send that out to the network. I think the only other thing I wanted to share with everyone today is that we do have our Hunger Free Community Summit coming up on November 16th and 17th. Hopefully you've already registered for that. For those of you who haven't registered, the registration fee is $25. So we do try to keep that very affordable. We don't want that registration fee to be a barrier for you. And so we are looking forward to having a really robust conference where we're going to talk about a lot of policy issues around the issues that we care about, whether it's Farm Bill or SNAP or child nutrition. But we're also going to be highlighting a lot of the work that you all are doing in your communities around ending hunger, that you want to share out with other groups who may be interested in doing similar work. And so we're really excited with the content that's coming together. We think it's going to be very informative. Again, it's November 16th and 17th. It's over 2 days. We usually have it in the afternoons, so you can plan your afternoons around the conference. And I will send out in the link, I'll send out registration link in the follow-up email for all of you. For those of you who haven't already registered for the conference, please do that. So I think that's all we wanted to cover. Happy to take any questions or comments about anything that's been discussed. So we'll give folks a moment to raise their hands. If you have any questions or comments. Otherwise, you know, you can always follow up in the email that I send. I can always follow up with any specific questions you might have. Okay, so it looks like there are no questions, so we'll go ahead and wrap for today. We really appreciate our guest speakers today and really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much, Lisa and Amanda. And we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch soon via email. So thank you everyone for joining us today.